Welcome. My name's Kat and I'm going to be leading you through week 2 of our beginners yoga course. So last week we covered the real foundations of yoga, how to move with the breath and some basic poses. So this week we're going to be building on what we did last week, but we're going to be adding in some forward folds and some back bends and some techniques to use the breath to help with improving our flexibility, which will really help us in the subsequent weeks of our course. So we're going to start in child's pose, which is what we covered last week. We're going to bring the knees apart and we're going to come into our wide leg child's pose variation. So we want the toes together and we're going to reach our hands forward. So it depends on your shoulder flexibility here. We can just rest on the forearms and keep the hips pushing back, resting the forehead on the mat. If you can, reach the arms further forward and really allow the chest to melt down. Maybe even resting the chin on the mat or the forehead, whatever is more comfortable. And we're going to begin to ground into the practice, arriving on the mat for the next half an hour, being completely present with our bodies and with our breath. So we'll begin to breathe deeply in and out through the nose, relaxing any tension in the shoulders. And I really like this variation because it gives your belly room to be part of the breath. So how I mentioned last week, we inhale and also almost imagine the belly is like a balloon inflating, really pushing the air down into this deep belly breath. Pausing and then exhaling all the air out before you then inhale again. And this type of breath tells our body that we're in rest and digest nervous system. And you already hopefully feel any tension or stress that you may have had melting away. The power of the breath. Noticing what's going on mentally for you as well. If you've got lots of thoughts, any worries, try and just let them all go. They're not useful here. Bring yourself back to your breath. Noticing as well where we can do less thinking, less moving, less holding on to any tension. And more being, just being in the present moment, being with the breath. Good, and then on our next inhale, we're going to start to reach the chest up and then walk the hands back to underneath the shoulders and the knees back to underneath the hips. So we arrive in tabletop. We're going to flow with the breath and warm up the spine. As we exhale, we're going to tuck the tailbone in, tuck the chin in and round off the back. As we inhale, we're going to arch the spine, roll the shoulders back, look up, dip the belly down. Exhale, the movement starts from the pelvis. So we tilt the pelvis first, and then this kind of rolls across the spine, and we tuck the chin in last. Really fully exhale, push out the hands. Inhale, rolling and arching the back, looking up. So we want you to close the eyes and just move like this with your own breath for a few breaths. Really feeling into each movement. Slowing down, taking your time. Good. So next time we come via neutral spine, we'll all pause there. So we're just going to lift up the toes and we're going to roll the ankles. So we're just warming up the body still. And then stillness in the center, we'll just let both feet flip to the left and then to the right. So we're kind of warming up the hips, feeling it in a bit of the side body as well. Good. Come back to center, place the feet down. We're going to warm up the wrists. So we're going to make circles clockwise, bringing our weight over the wrists. And this is also a great exercise to check in with the hands. that you're really using the fingertips, how I mentioned last week. So as you roll, you should kind of feel the weight traveling from the left little finger all the way to the left thumb, and then from the right thumb all the way to the right little finger. So you're really using the fingertips, almost gripping onto the floor. Good, then we'll change direction. And the hands should really always be like this when they're on the mat. Good. Pausing in the center now. We're going to bring the right hand and have the fingertips facing backwards. So this is quite intense. If that's too much, have it to the side. We're going to aim to get the fingers backwards and just play around with that, moving gently in circles, forward and back. If you feel comfortable, you can bring the left hand too. Again, bring it to the sides if that's too much. And again, we'll make circles. So really important, especially if this is your first movement of the day, to warm up the wrists. Very easy to damage. Big inhale. Big exhale, really good. Bring back the hand. Exhale, rounding off the back. Good. Inhale, arching the back. And then we're just going to walk the hands back to be sitting on the shins. We're going to spin the feet to one side and come to a seated position with our legs out long. So we're going to work with flexibility of the hamstrings today, mainly. That's what mainly we work with in a forward fold. So to start with, I want you to just make sure you're sitting evenly on each sit bone, pushing the heels away and the toes are lifting up. We're rolling the shoulders back and down. Just to begin, we're going to hinge from the hips and bring ourselves forward, and just measure on yourself where your hands land. So maybe you can hold onto the toes, maybe the ankles, maybe it's a small movement. We want to try and keep the spine straight. So this is my first movement of the day, so I haven't warmed up at all, and therefore my movement isn't massive, but that's fine. If you do want to record your flexibility improving over time, or even from now to the end of the class, you could pause the video now and maybe take a little photo of you in this forward fold to kind of measure where you started. So we'll just sit here for a moment. You can gently pulse up and down to help find a bit more space. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Breathing it in through the nose. Good. And then we will tuck the feet in, and we're going to have the hands behind the back and come up via the toes, if that's okay for you, and find ourselves in a toe stand at the front of the mat. So this is quite a fun way to warm up the feet, also to check in with the balance. So we really want to lift up the heels and really tuck them forward, let the hips come down onto them. Either just staying here on the fingertips, or we can bring our palms to center. So like we had with the fingers, you can really feel all 10 toes almost gripping onto the mat. Breathing deeply. Big inhale, big exhale, really good. So we're gonna bring the hands down, and we're gonna start to lift the hips up and come into gentle forward fold. So we want the weight to be forward in the feet. We want the legs to be fairly straight. And again here, it might be quite nice to pause the video and take a photo of yourself, or just remember in measuring against your body, kind of where you land here in this forward fold. Even at the end of the 30 minutes together, this will be quite improved, and especially by the end of the course, you'll be very impressed with your flexibility improvements. Again, breathing deeply here. We're going to inhale, come up halfway. Fingertips can be on the mat or on the shins. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Big inhale. Good. Exhale, gently forward fold. Release the head and the neck. Keep the shoulders really heavy. Slightly bending the legs now. We're going to roll up to keep the arms and the head heavy. Big shoulder roll at the top. And then come back to our mountain pose. So palms facing forward. Shoulders back and down, chin slightly tucked in. Good. So we're going to revisit slightly what we did last week. We're going to come into Warrior One. So we want the right foot to be steady and strong. We're going to step the left foot back, hip width apart, left heel kind of pushing backwards, left toes diagonally forwards. Inhale, reach the arms up, sink the hips down, sink the shoulders down, shine forward with the chest. Big deep breaths. Sink the hips a bit lower if you can. Good. Sink a bit lower. Move that front foot forward if the knee is overextending. Good. Then we're going to open out to Warrior Two. I'm just going to switch directions so you can see me. And this is all what we covered last week. So just going over that, opening out to the side, check in that your alignment is right. Front heel in the middle of the arch of the back foot. Look down the middle finger, breathing deeply. Good. We're going to reverse our warrior. Bring the left hand down and the right hand up. Keep the hips sinking down. Big inhale through the nose. Big exhale. Good. Come back to Warrior Two. Then we're going to come back to Warrior One. Let that left heel spin around. Can maybe shuffle out the feet. Don't be afraid to move. Sink the hips lower. Warrior One. Big inhale. Exhale, draw the palms to center. Step back to the front of the mat and back to mountain pose. Really good. So we'll just do that on the other side. Settling ourselves first, stepping that right foot back, hip width apart, left hip pushes back, right hip pushes forward, big inhale, sweep the arms up. Inch that foot forward if you need more space, sink the shoulders back and down. Good. Big inhale here. Exhale, we're going to open out to Warrior Two. Might need to rearrange that back foot slightly and probably walk it back because you kind of need a bit more space in Warrior Two, I think, to really let the hips drop down. Look down that middle finger, relax the shoulders. Check in with yourself. Are your hands in one long line? Are they level with the shoulders? Big deep breath. On an inhale, we're going to drop the right hand back and come into reverse warrior. Feel that nice stretch in the side body. Big deep breath through the nose. Good. Gently coming back to Warrior Two. Spinning back around to Warrior One. Big inhale. Good. Draw the palms to center. Step that right foot forward. Palms either side. Facing forward. Tuck the chin down. Big deep breaths. We're going to inhale, sweep the arms up. And this time we're going to come into a gentle back bend. So we're going to slightly squeeze the glutes and shine the chest forward and push the arms back. If you feel any tension in the lower back, then stop. But if you can, using the glutes to help you, coming gently back into a back bend. And then exhale, we're going to slightly bend the legs, dive ourselves forward into a forward fold. So here we're going to work with the breath a bit to increase our range here. As we inhale, we're going to reach forward, almost imagine like someone's pulling our chest forward and really lengthening our spine. And as we exhale, we melt further forward. Keep the weight forward in the feet. Inhale, lifting up again, reaching forward. Exhale, melting down. One more time. Inhale, reaching forward. Suck the belly in, almost roll the belly up so you can roll over and come deeper into it. Keep the weight in the feet forward. Good. One more time. Big inhale, reaching forward, coming up. Exhale, rolling forward and over. And just notice how much more space I've got just by moving with the breath like this. So every inhale we find length, every exhale we come deeper. Breathe here for a moment. We can hold either elbow with the opposite hand. Let the upper body relax, swing side to side. Bend into the legs slightly if you need to. Big deep breath. Good, and then we'll release the hands. We're going to place the hands on the mat, so bend the legs if needed. We're going to step the right foot back and then the left foot back, coming into our plank. Shift the weight forward so the shoulders are over the wrists. engage the glutes, engage the core, suck the belly into the spine. Big, deep breaths. Good. Then we're going to drop the knees. We're going to drop the chest and chin. Keep the elbows hugged in and the shoulders open. Keep yourself like one long plank and bring the tops of the feet on the mat. And slowly, slowly lower down, all at the same time. Length of the arms until we come down to the mat. We can rest our forehead on our hands. Big inhale. Big exhale. Good. We're going to work a little bit with a back bend now. We're going to place our hands either side of our shoulders. We're going to engage the glutes and push the elbows back so the shoulders are open. Inhale, lift up the chest. Only a little bit. I don't want you to just yank up with your hands. So actually the hands could be lifted right now off the mat. We're using our core and our back and our glutes to help us here. Breathing deeply, push the elbows back and have the hands hovering off the mat if you want. Good, and then we're going to place the hands either side of the shoulders, maybe find a bit more space. Roll the shoulders back and down, elbows really hugging inwards. Big inhale, big exhale, really good. One more big inhale. Exhale, rolling gently down. Touching the forehead onto the mat, and we're going to push back up onto our knees, so the same as what we just did before, coming down. So we're going to use the strength of our core and our chest and our arms to push ourselves up like a plank, and then dip the hips back to tabletop. Draw the hands underneath the shoulders, exhale, rounding the back, release any tension in the lower back. Inhale, arching. So often in back bends, we feel a compression in our lower back. We want to try and avoid that. But sometimes that does happen, and as long as we have a counter pose, which is rounding off the back to kind of counteract it, then that's okay. When you shouldn't have compression in the lower back is when you're doing work with the core, because that just means the lower back is working instead of the core, and that can really damage your back. Good, then we'll come back to neutral spine. We'll tuck the toes and we'll lift up to our downward dog, which we covered last week. So again, don't be afraid to move around in yoga. We want to get in the right position, and sometimes that means shuffling around the hands and the feet. Again, we're going to lift up both heels. We're going to push the chest towards the thighs. Roll away the elbows so the inside elbow creases are facing forward. Shoulders are really open. Good. And then we begin to maybe straighten the legs and bring the heels down, but that's just a secondary thing that will come with time. Big inhale. Big exhale. Really good. Walking the feet into the center, we're going to inhale, reach that right leg up, come into three-legged dog. Feel that wake up the left hamstring, draw that left heel down. Bringing the shoulders over the wrists, we're going to bring the leg in, and we're either going to place it wherever we can and use our hands, or just place it by the hands. So this is going to come with time with working on the core and the hips. Slide that right foot forward, give yourself space, drop the left knee down. We'll come back into our low lunge, which we also covered last week. Really sink the hips, and this time we're going to introduce a back bend. So we're going to reach and shine the chest forward and push the arms back. It's also called crescent lunge because you can imagine like you're making a moon crescent shape with the back of your body. So really looking up at the ceiling and really sinking the hips. Big deep breaths. Big inhale. Good. Big exhale. We're going to look forward, bring the hands down, and we're going to push the hips back, keep the hips square, and let the toes rise up. So now we feel it in the right hamstring. So as I said, keep the right hip back, the left hip forward, shoulders relaxed, melting the chest towards the thighs, lifting those toes up. Big inhale, big exhale. We're going to flow with the breath, so use the hands on the mat as much as you need. But as we inhale, we're going to come back to a low lunge, reach the hands up, sink the hips, big inhale. Exhale, bring the hips back and the hands onto the mat, good. Inhale, reaching the hands up, sinking the hips. Feeling in the hip as well, the left hip. Exhale, back, hamstrings. Melt the chest further down each time. Inhale, reach up one more time. Good. Exhale, push back. Maybe we can get that chest a bit lower. Then we can bring the palms to the mat and we'll just slide that right foot back to our tabletop, and then we'll push the hips back to downward dog. Good. We can walk out the downward dog here if you'd like, where we dip one heel down and let the hips sink to the opposite side. Then the other heel dips down and we sink the hips to the opposite side. So we're swaying the hips side to side, feeling the stretch travel across the side body. Bringing both feet into center, big inhale, we're going to reach that left leg up. Keep the right heel pushing down. Exhale, bring the weight forward, shoulders over wrists. Bring that left leg in, and wherever you are on that journey, we get that left foot forward. Good. And we drop the right knee down, lift up to a low lunge. Again, shuffle that left foot forward to give you more space. Drop the shoulders down, shine the chest forward. We come into a gentle back bend, really looking up. Push the arms back, framing the ears. Big inhale. Good. Exhale, we're going to bring the hands forward, fingertips on, and then push the hips back. Let the toes float upwards, let the chest melt down, and relax the shoulders. Using the breath here, big inhale, big exhale. Next inhale, we're going to bring the hips forward and down, come back to our low lunge, big inhale. And then exhale, gently pushing back. Good, we'll do that again. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, pushing back. One more time. Inhale, reaching up. Sink the hips, push the chest, the arms back. Good. Exhale, coming back. Maybe melting the chest a bit lower this time. Good. Then we can place the hands on the mat, slide this left foot back. Exhale, rounding off the spine. Inhale, arching the back. Good. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, arching. Come back to neutral spine. We'll walk the hands back, come back to sitting on our shins. Just for a moment, roll the shoulders, tuck the chin in. Then we'll just bring the hips to one side and let the feet come to the other side. So we're going to come into, again, our forward fold position. So we're going to use the breath here, a little trick that I've learned to improve flexibility. Now, whilst flexibility isn't the goal of yoga at all, it's a really great byproduct of practicing. It obviously gives you more ability to practice different poses, but also in your general life, just more comfort in your day-to-day living and your mobility. So it is an important factor of yoga as well, but it's not the ultimate goal. However, having said that, there is a tool that I use with the breath to really help increase flexibility. And we come into our forward fold again. Hopefully already you feel more space too at the start. And we're really pushing the heels away, pushing the toes back, relaxing the shoulders. So we're going to use the breath here. As we inhale, we're going to clench every muscle and kind of reach our chest forward. So we clench our toes, fingers, glutes, legs, tummy. Big inhale, holding the breath. And as we exhale, we let it all go and melt a bit deeper. Inhale, we clench again. Reach ourselves forward, pull on the legs if you can, or on the feet. Clench everything and hold the breath. Exhale, melt it all away, come a bit deeper. Inhale, clenching again, pulling yourself away, so pulling the chest and lengthening the spine. Hold the breath and clench. Good. Exhale, release it all. Notice, and just pause here for a moment in normal breathing. You'll notice how much more space hopefully you have created with you through this technique. It's a really great technique that I had learnt, and yeah, this is something you can practice every day, and you'll feel so much improvement really quickly if you do this every day. Big deep breath, big exhale. So just noticing the difference now to the start, which was only 30 minutes ago. You can maybe take another photo now if you want to kind of log your progress. It's helpful to bind onto somewhere in the body if you can. Great. If not, the ankles or the shins are also good. And then we'll gently come up. Good. Rolling off the shoulders. Going to bring the hands to by the hips, and we're going to dip the hips forward. Check that we've got room to roll back. Either if you've got dodgy lower back or not massive core strength, we can hold onto the legs to help us. Otherwise, bring the hands out to either side, relax the shoulders, tuck the chin in, really engaging the core to roll really slowly down onto the mat. And then relaxing the head and the arms, feeling them really heavy on the ground. You can close down the eyes as well. So I always like to end any kind of back bend or forward bend practice with spinal twist to really release any tension there might be in the back. So this time we're going to inhale, reach the right leg up and wrap the right leg around the left. Bring the arms into cactus, palms are facing. So we're going to let both legs just drop to the left side. So let gravity just take them over. And then look over the right shoulder. Let this right shoulder be melting down to the mat and really surrendering into this twist. Again, how I said at the start, just noticing maybe where you can do less. Let go of any tension in the calves or in the thighs, in the shoulders. Breathing deeply in and out through the nose. Feeling the belly rise and fall with every breath. Good. Next inhale, we'll use our core to help lift our legs up to center. Good. Big breath here. We can unwrap the right leg. Keep the arms as they are. Big inhale, reach the left leg up. Wrap the left leg around the right. One more big inhale here. Exhale, letting both legs just melt over to the right. And you can look over the left shoulder and keep the left shoulder pushing downwards. Feel that really delicious release and twist. And really surrendering here to the twist, so just letting gravity take the legs down. And also noticing how it can be a dynamic twist, so over time, maybe with every breath, you can find a bit more space to melt deeper into the twist. Big inhale. Big exhale. One more big inhale. Big exhale. Using the core, we will bring ourselves back up. Good. Unwrap the left leg. We'll lengthen out the right leg long, and then lengthen out the left leg. Heels can be at least the width. If you want your arms to stay like this, then that's fine. Or you can bring them slightly closer to the body, palms still facing up. Just feel the shoulder blades melting into the mat, chin gently tucked in. Back of the neck is long. Big inhale. Big exhale, releasing any tension you're holding on to. We'll just do a short meditation here, so we can just imagine that we are now the observer of our body, the observer of our thoughts. So you can imagine like you're lying down and watching the clouds. Blue sky is a still mind, empty of thoughts and completely present. And the clouds that pass it are passing thoughts, memories, to-do lists, worries. And instead of becoming that thought and putting energy into that thought, you just watch them. So a thought might come and float into your head. You just acknowledge that that has happened and let it go. Like it's just a cloud passing through the sky. Bringing yourself back to this moment of clear blue skies, of stillness. Until another thought may come by. Accept that's happened. And then just cut it off. Let it go. Finding this moment of stillness. Just you and your breath. Your stomach gently rising and falling with every breath. Making sure all the muscles in the face are completely relaxed. All the muscles in the shoulders are released. The legs and the arms are totally heavy, supported by the ground. Letting any thoughts go that may have come into your head. We'll just begin to deepen the breath in and out through the nose. Next inhale, we can reach the arms above the head and give ourselves a full body stretch, like we're just waking up in the morning. Then when you're ready, very gently we can roll onto our right hand side. Rest our head in our hands and just enjoy this feeling of peace and calm that we have made inside ourselves. Is always available to us. And when you're ready, we can use the hands to very gently guide us up to a seated position. You can keep the eyes closed, crossing the legs. Resting the hands on the lap. Just taking a moment to give thanks to yourself for practicing today. Reminding yourself that every journey has to start somewhere. The most important part is starting that journey. So just be proud of yourself for that. And then we can gently open the eyes. Big inhale, reach the hands up. Exhale, bring the palms to center. Namaste. So I use Namaste. I think it's a lovely way to end a practice, to honor the roots of where yoga came from. But that's optional as well, so if you don't feel comfortable with doing that, then you don't have to in any yoga class, so I thought I would share that as well. But yes, thank you so much for practicing with me, and I hope that you've got some good takeaways that you could maybe practice yourself, maybe some photos of your journey, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.